B'rshut Kal HaKadosh, everybody welcome. Thank you for joining us for the shiur. Be'ezrat Hashem, Barachat Tzlacha. LeTony, Adam, to Emmanuel, to your friends, שהקדוש ברוך הוא תן להם ברכה, הצלחה, בריאות, וגם תברך את יעקב בן אשר, שמay Hashem bless him with all the blessings of Torah, וגם יורה דחקנב בן אליעזר, שרפואה שלמה לאבא שלו בעזרת השם בקרוב, וגם ניסים שלום, שחתונה בשנה הזה. וגם קיריל דניאל בן מיכאל, שחתונה אשת חיל בעזרת השם, וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. 1000 הבדלות בין המתים לחיים, לעילוי נשמת, רום הרחמים בן נר המזל, רוח השם תנחנו בגן עדן הוא וכל השוכמים, ובו בכלל רחמים והסליחות, וכן יהי רצון ונאמר אמן. We continue with our פרקי אבות. So it says in the פרקי אבות, הלומד זקן דומה לדיו כתב על נייר מחוק. So our Chazal says, our sages say, Pirush Rashi, first our sages say, the sages say that we continue in our Pirkei Avot, Halomed Zaken. If a person learning, he's old. Old is already in the ages, when the Torah talks about ages, that he's in the 60s and up. Old also means that Zekana Chochmah, he's the one who grabbed the wisdom. Rashi says something beautiful, Halomed Zaken. A person, when he's older, when he's learning Torah, it's like written in a paper that it's erased, and that's the way a person learning Torah. What does it mean? Pirush Rashi, Matchil lilmod bizknoto. A person learning when he's old, Shachach hakol miyad. When he learns, he forgets right away. Kamo hakatav she'al haniyar hamachuk. It's like a erase when you write on a paper and you erase it. She'en haktiva le'hamachak haduka v'omedet yafeh. When a person is writing on a paper that is erased, it does not look nice. Ele nimchat ve'olechet. It's erased and goes away. What if a person learning the Torah when he's young? לפתיחה של האבן, הלומד זקן דומה לפתיחה של החול. Says a person when he's young, when he's learning, says you take a stone, you make a hole in the stone, that's the child that is learning, or young gentleman. But if somebody is old when he's learning Torah, it's like you have a sand, you make a hole in the sand. Once the wind comes in, what's going to happen? The sand will close the hole inside the sand. כתב רבנו ירא שמכל מקום אל יאמר זקן. Anyways, a person should not say, and אני עץ יבש, he says, I'm a wood that it's already dry wood. אחרי שאין התורתה מתקיימת בי, he says, anyway, the Torah would not remember a lot of stuff. למה יקרא וההבל ייגע? He says, what's the point of reading the Torah? It's for nothing, it's for vain, חס ושלום. כי בכל זאת הנה שכרו איתו, שילמד טרח ועושה מצווה. A person has learned Torah, and he really contributes to Torah, and he does the mitzvot of Hashem, the Chazal says, he has the reward. משל, לא סוחר פועלים שנותן לכם, תסתכל נקוב לתת בו מים. פסקיים מהם שכר יום, אכסיל לו מה תועלת בלכתי. So it says you have two workers that work in every day, and workers that work only for one day. What's the difference? A person says, what's the point of working for me for one day if I'm not going to make a lot of money? That's what a not smart person would say. הרי זה נכנס זה ויוצא, בכך אומר הרי יקבל שכר יומי. If a person is smart, what he's going to say? I will get rewarded for every day that I'll be learning. אחד מרבה ואחד ממעט. That's the main essence of the Gemara. The Gemara says, one does less, one does more. Okay? והעיקר מלבד שיכוון לבו לאבינו שבשמיים. It says the main important thing to connect to Hashem, to cling to Hashem. One does less, one does more, but ikar, the most important thing, we need to connect to Hashem. פירוש, אותיות הלב, שבניהם אותיות אך ממעט, אחריכם אותיות גם בהרבה. בין כך מכך מקבל שכר. When a person learns a lot of Torah, when he learns less Torah, he still would accept the reward from Hashem. אך באמצע לב שיכוון ליבו לאבינו שבשמיים. But as long as everything he does, for the sake of heaven. הלומד תורה מן הילדים למה הוא דומה לאוכל ענבים כהות ושותה יין מגינתו. migato. Tzirim im. So it says something beautiful over here. It says a person learning from the kids' Torah. What is he parallel to? Hu domeh lo echol anavim. Is eating the grapes that is very weak, and he drinks the wine from the jarro. יש לברר בדרך כלל, תלמידי חכמים צעירים הם מהירה או רעה ביותר. He says, תלמידי חכמים, and that's I know from my own experience, and Chacham Avadia also brings this, says, תלמידי חכמים, young, they're more stricter than old. What is the difference between young is more stricter in halacha and old less stricter in halacha? ונוטים תמיד להחמיר. A young gentleman, when they learn Torah, they're more into the learning of the Torah, more stricter. ולא כן החכמים הזקנים. But somebody's older, it's not like this. אשר כוחו דהת רעדיף. They find every type of way to make it properly that is allowed. When a person is young, when I used to be young myself, I used to be machmir on a lot of stuff. Machmir, which just means strict. Okay? Except one time my disciple student came in, he says, in Purim, and all of a sudden we had a strawberries that was, like you take the cucumber, you just peel the skin. He says, I was in Williamsburg, I never seen such a thing in my life, he says. The strawberry stripped off from the skin. He says, what's left from the strawberry? The strawberry without the skin. In certain things, yes, you need to be very particular, you cannot eat it. And you have to make sure you're careful. But certain things you're able to understand more clear picture later on in life you learn. But it only comes from learning. It does not come because you got older, you got smarter. No, the Gemara says in Masechet Shabbat, if I'm not mistaken, in 154, in page 154, the more older the person gets, the stupider he gets. That's a fact. So what do we say? The person is old, the more older he gets, the more he able to understand the Torah. Yeah, that a person spends all his life in Torah, but a person does not spend his life in Torah, his brains are not functioning properly. And many times we see people that is older, you sit next to him, it's this, okay, he's going to repeat same thing. How many conversations can you have? So let's go weiter. ונוטב תמיד להחמיר, לא כן חכמים זקנים, אשר כוחו דהת רעדיף. הספיקו לראות בהמשך ימי חייכם סברת רבות להקל. מתרמינן גיליה, שזקני תלמידי חכמים כל זמן שהם מזקנים, דעתם מתאוסף עליהם. Over here, Shabbat Kuf he says the older person gets Talmid Chacham, the more smarter he gets. Not what you're thinking, the more older he gets, I experience from my experience, I speak to Rav Tzadka many times and I say, do you understand this? Do you understand that? From the, not only me saying this and understand that, from the half of the word he's already understand. From here, the Gemara, you learn that the more the older they get, the more they understand, and whatever we're thinking, we saying because he's old enough, he does not understand me. No, but they understand even more whatever we did not understand. כמו שאמרו חכם, בשישים חוכמה ואורך ימים תבונה. He says, the wisdom, Eov says, 12:12, the chokhmah comes the wisdom in age 60. ואורך ימים תבונה, לכן בוודאי שיש להעדיף כל אחד דאפשר ששימוש תלמידי חכמים אצל רבנים זקנים. Says the best way to study from the חכמים that is old, that is older. צא למד כמו שכתוב גאון עוזיה גדול בעל נודע ביהודה. נודע ביהודה is one of the Allah authorities, and he says in his book, אמר יחזקאל, תשובה זה כתבתי בילדתי, זה למעלה מ-30 שנה. Says, whatever I gave the answer to somebody 30 years before, מחמת היית צעיר לימים, הייתה מהירה הוראה ביותר. I was more afraid to paskin the halacha when I was younger. לכן נתתי ברוב ספרות להחמיר. He says, back then I was very strict. יותר מהלהקל. Instead of being more linear, I was more stricter. אבל עכשיו אני חוזר בי. But he says, today, I'm returning whatever I learned, and I understand. דברים שאמרתי, טעותי בידי. Says, I made a mistake. What kind of mistake? He was more strict instead of being more linear. Why? Like today, for example, a couple days somebody called me. I'm just giving you, don't make this as a halacha to yourself. He says, me and my wife going to college. We're finishing college. And he says, I just had a child, baby boy. We want to protect ourselves, don't want to have kids. So I said, give me a couple days. Let me think about it. Let me have another advice with another chacham, and I got advice today. He says, listen, he wants to go to college and he does not have money. He should not get married. He got married already. He needs to have kids. So that's not an excuse for him to go to college and to have, not to bring kids in this world. And he says we need to monitor him 6 to 1 year. If the wife needs to be healed from her, whatever the birth he gives, it takes about 6 to 1 year. Then we're able to guide him to have more kids, and should not be protection, okay? So what is the difference? The question he needs to be asked, what is the purpose of doing? So recently I read something that is a fact. Who have most kids? Rich people or poor people or middle class? Anybody knows? The fact is, poor people have more kids than the rich kids. When a rich people thinking, when I'm gonna bring a kid, it's going to cost me $100,000. The poor is not thinking how I'm going to feed him and how I'm going to... Of course they're thinking, but they're not into thinking too much, how you feeding all these kids that you bring into this world? So I ask him the same thing. How many people you think that in the world, in the United States of America, who have most of the people, most of the kids? The poor people. Not the rich. And not the middle class. The poor people. Who has more bitachon? The poor, not the rich. Because the rich thinking is how much money he's spending on the kids. So I asked him the same question. You want to bring a kids? You make sure you're going to bring a kids. And our Hashem is going to provide you whatever needs to provide. Okay? I have from my own experience, from others people's experience. The more people he's going to bring, the Chazal says in a Gemara, you're going to say the Gemara back then? No, right now, in our times, poor people have more kids than anybody else. So the Chazal says that the more people have household in his house, the higher the mazal gets in his house. Again, the more people we're having in his house, the higher the mazal gets in his house. So from here we learn, the more we bring, if you would have taught me when I was young and not understand a lot of stuff, I would not lahakor, which just means I would not dig in all the cases and the details. Now you dig in every case and the details. That's when you're learning, you're becoming more detailed. Back then, when you learn in the beginning, you don't become more detailed. הדברים אמרתי, טעיתי בידי, נודע בו יהודה says, when I was young, 30 years ago, I did mistake in my halacha, which just means, what do you mean immediate? He was more machmir. Machmir, which means more strict. שאלו כן היה להם לריב, להרוש, להביע את הדומיה. וכן בא לספר האחרונים, שק הלכה למעשה להעדיף יותר לעיין בדברי האחרונים מבורסמים למורה הוראה. So same thing when a person wants to learn a law, make sure he's going to learn law from somebody who's old, not somebody who's young. Anybody is young is a speaker, is a public speaker. It's not triggering us. The most important thing, how he's going to draw the law. הוראה חוכמה, זקנה יש כאן, ולא בספר שנתחברו בליקוטים שעשה על ידי תלמידי צעירים לימים, אלא יקום מעיין בשורשי הדברים. So he says, many people write books in our times, and I'm not so sure, he says, they're looking for every detail in the way they paskin the halacha, which is to make the way halacha is. מעיין בשורשי הדברים. בספר פנים משפט שהביע בספר עמודי עולם, רבי שמואל בר עוזריאל, הסכמת גאון מליסה, כתב, המחבר ולפני גם שאר עיבורים, חיבר הלכה לא רציתי לעיין בהם. He says, many chachamim, they saw that they don't want to look at the halacha, somebody drew the halacha when he was young. They don't want to even look at these books. מכל הכל, אף על פי שהוא אף חוכמה. Even though he's knowledgeable, he's smart, but he says he's still young. And young people tend to be more stricter than older people in the chokhmah. מכל מקום עדיין לא הגיע לשנות 40 ואין מידת להסכים החיבור לפסק הלכה אם כן נשמע מפי זקן. It says 40 years old and above, then you're able to listen and you listen to his halacha the way he says the halacha. Why he says? Because he's more calm when he's nifsak et halacha, when he gives the final halacha, which means the law. הרב קושיה לתת ידם בהסכמה לספרים חדשים גם מחברים צעירים רמים, מליסה הסכמתו לחיבור בהחלט ישד למו בספר דינים ההלכות. It says many חכמים did these things in order for a person to be very open in the halacha and to understand his halacha, which means the laws that is learning from the older people, not from the younger. Rabbi Elazar HaKafar Omer, Rabbi Elazar HaKafar says, הקנאה ותאווה והכבוד מוצאים אדם מן העולם. Rabbi Elazar HaKafar says following. We go to Mishnah 21. Jealousy, desire, and an honor, he says, would take out the person from this world. What does it mean? Jealousy, honor. Honor, I never understood what it means, honor. Somebody does not honor somebody, or somebody with somebody dispute. If he cares about his honor, what's happening? He becomes depressed. He does not want to strive for the motivation to live in life. Because he says, why did they not honor me according to my honor that I deserve? No, each one of us have that. So you could call it egomaniac, you could call it whatever you want to call it, but it does exist. Oh, thank you. Could take out the tea bag. Thank you. Sorry. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. הקנאה, jealousy, מוציא הנחש הקדמוני שהתקנא באדם הראשון ואשתו חווה. Says first jealousy came from the serpent, was in a Gan Eden and Chava והאדם הראשון. What happened? בקש להרוג את האדם ויישא את החווה. He wanted to kill, the serpent wanted to kill the Adam, the first man, and wanted to get married with his wife. You're going to say, excuse me, what are you talking about? Serpent getting married to the Chava? We all talk about allegoric way to understand. ביקש להרוג, אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, אני אמרתי מלך תהיה על כל הבהמה וחיות השדה. הקדוש ברוך הוא said to the serpent, to the snake, you're going to be king for all the animals in the fields, inside the forest, everywhere. ותלך בקומה זקופה. You walk down with the haughty, with the pride. עכשיו הגאונך תלך. Right now you're gonna go on your stomach. ואז ירד שני מלאכים וקצצו את ידיו ורגליו. He says 2 angels came to this world, just chopped down his hands and his legs. והיה קולה הולך מסוף העולם ועד סוף העולם. His voice was traveling all over. Ronnie, come next to us. We don't bite you, Rabbi. בראשית רבה, אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא, אני אמרתי תאכל מאכל אדם ותשתה משתה של האדם. הקדוש ברוך הוא said to the serpent, to the snake, you're going to eat like a human. You're going to drink like a human. עכשיו, עפר תאכל כל ימי חייך. He says, today, from today's day, you're going to live and you're going to eat the sand of the earth and the dust of the earth. The Chazal says it is a blessing and it's a curse. Why it's a blessing? Blessing because he has a food all the time. Why is a curse? Because everything he tastes like a what? Sand. So what is the point of blessing? The blessing, he has food everywhere. But 2 different things between us and Hashem. The Gemara says between us, when we hate somebody, we want to do every possible way to break him. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu even cursed the serpent. He says, even I'm cursing you, but you still have I'm still providing you food. And it's available 24/7. He does not need to hunt. He does not need to go. It's every time with him. וכן אתה מוציא בקין שהתקנא מאחיו הבל. Second situation we have, jealousy between two brothers. הוא קין והבל. שנולד עמו תאומה יתרה. הבל, which is Adam Arishon's son, he had 2 wives, and Cain has 1 wife. The Gemara says, Sanhedrin, where they come from? They're born from Adam Arishon. They're sisters. But the Torah says you're not allowed to get married to sisters. Even Bnei Noach not allowed to get married to sisters. Chesed yibane olam. Hashem says, in order for me to procreate and build the world, it needs to be no problem for them to get married to their sisters. So what happened? The Cain got jealous of his brother Hevel, right? How many people on the earth, by the way? 4. How many people? It's with the wives. No. No, we're talking about right now Adam, Chava, and Cain Hevel. 4, right? We're not counting as a wife because they're not inheriting. So how many? 4 people on the earth. Cain takes it and he kills his brother Hevel. 25% of population gone. Okay? What is he jealous? The jealous why he has an extra wife. שנאמר ותוסיף לו את אחיו ואת הבל, בקש לו את כל הארץ. So what he wanted to do, he wanted to conquer the whole world. It's not enough half a world. It's not enough 25% of world. He needs to have the whole world. Okay? From there already. What was his punishment? His punishment is going to be all over the land. He's going to go travel. That's why the Arizal on Shara Gilgulim brings that a person is traveling from places to places and he does not have a room. He says he's a type of Cain, that he comes from Cain. Somebody scares of water, he's also come from Cain. What kind of water? Not water that you wash your face with. Water that you go inside the pool or inside the beach. You're afraid. The reason you're afraid, inside of you, you're Cain because Cain comes from fire. Heaven comes from the wind. So that's why he's afraid. He's jumping in the water, he's afraid. Why? Because it's a fire. And fire is afraid of water. So over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu cursed Cain. He says, you're going to be traveling all over. Is that metaphor? No, that's facts, by the way. In general. Right. Right. Arizal says, in general, we all mix between Cain and Hevel. We all mix. But some of us have a more dominant of Cain than Hevel. Some of us, anger issue, right? Anger issue that's come from Cain. Also, that's an anger issue, right? So Hashem, what he did to the Cain, because he killed Hevel, he put a name, Keren, on his forehead. Od Cain, val yedekach ne'arag. He says the Cain asked Hashem should not be killed, but he killed through his grandson. Cain got killed. Lemech sumahaya. Lemech was blind. Okay? V'tuval Cain beno haya moshcho manhigo. So Cain has a son. So he used to go with the melech all over. Okay? Pam ra'a mirachok et Cain. Melech saw from the far at the Cain, but he cannot see. Nidamomo kamo chaya. It was for him, it's like an animal. Cain was like an animal. Va'amar la'aviv chaya ani roeh. Says, I see an animal. Mashach bakeshet v'arga. He took a bow and arrow and killed Cain. כי אתה מוציא בקורח שהתקנה עד נסיעתו של אליפaz ben Uziel. Third situation we see in the Torah, Korach. First was serpent, second was Cain, third was, we're talking about jealousy, is Korach. So we're talking about all these high position people, serpent except is not a person. So Elzaphan ben Uziel, Korach had a jealousy of him. Who was he? That was his cousin, by the way. Okay? Shemino Naseh Nasi b'nei Kahat. He made him as a president, and Zafan ben Uziel, for the Jewish nation. Af al pi hadibur, v'amar Korach, achim shel aviv hayu arba. Korach says, my father had 4 brothers. ונאמר בני קהת, like it says Kahat, Amram ויצחר חברון ועוזיאל Amram. It says, my father had 4 brothers. הבחור נוטה שני בניו גדולה, משה מלך. It says, my cousins took 2 positions. Moshe Rabbeinu became king, ואהרון כהן גדול. Aaron HaKohen became Kohen Gadol. מי ראוי לו יותר שררה שנייה? Who is the second brother comes in? Who is going to be in a position? So we hear from here, if we know, we're always running for the position. Oh, you're going to say, I'm not running for kings. When we make machloket, which just means arguments, we don't agree with people, we always want to be in control, in power. Lo ani shani beno shelo Yitzhar. He says, I'm the son of the Yitzhar. Shiur sheni le'Amram. He says, my father is a second to the Amram. He's a second brother. V'hu mina li nasa et ben achiv katan mikulam. Shiur tzafan ben Uziel. He says, my cousin, his father is the smallest child in the family. Why should be another taking the position of to be in a control? Ani cholek alav. He says, I will go against him. Natan ena bekuna v'nitrad min ha'olam. He says, I want to be the Kohen. He, Hashem, what he did with 250 people, because he was powerful, he's rich, Sanhedrin. He also had a speech how to draw people. It's all about drawing. It's all about how you're manipulating. So when you manipulating, we're talking about 250 Sanhedrin. We're not talking about some local rabbi that you guys know. We're talking about Gedolei Olam. He drew him with the speech. He drew him how he's right. And they all, what happened? Swallowed inside the ground. בלע אותו כל משפחתו, אתה מוציאה בדואג שהיה אוויר, הרואים התקנה בדוד. דואג. Another individual, the Gemara says in Sanhedrin, in page 91, ארבע מלאכים, שלושה מלאכים וארבע הדיוט. 3 kings and 4 regular people don't have share in the world to come. Doeg was what he used to do. Doeg v'Achitophel used to go to Avshalom. He used to say, your father wanted to do like this. Achitophel then used to go to say like this. So basically, he used to make a fire to put in a flame. Make a conflict and pretend like he'd be your friend. Let's see. Motzia Doeg, Avir Aroim, Itkana David. He was jealous of David. ראה נבון הדבר, והגיבור חיל במלחמה של התורה. דואג saw how much David HaMelech was so powerful in the Torah. והשם עמו שהלכה כמותו בכל מקום. הלכה is like a David HaMelech everywhere. כמו שנאמר, הנה ראיתי בן לישי בן הלחמי יודע נגן וגיבור חיל ואיש מלחמה ונבון דבר ואיש תואר, השם עמו. The Shmuel HaNavi says, David HaMelech is Hashem is everywhere with him. Doeg had a problem. He was part of the Sanhedrin. He was jealous of David HaMelech. What is the jealousy? Doeg balashon hara. Masechet Sanhedrin says, Tzadik Gimel, page 93. Doeg said lashon hara, ma sofo nitrad min ha'olam, shlosha malachim nizdamnu ba'ed moto. 3 angels came before he passed away, Doeg. Echad shishkach et talmudo. 1 came in to let him forget all whatever he's learning. Echad saraf et nishmato. 1 angel burned his soul. Va'achad pizer et afaro. And 1 angel took all his ashes and spread all over. In Sanhedrin in 106. וכן אתה מוציאה מאחיתופל שנקנה מלכותו של בית דוד. Achitophel, same thing, had a jealousy of David HaMelech. Doeg ve'Achitophel. Like it says in Masechet Sanhedrin, שנisa lemor ani rimloch. What he did, Achitophel, what did he do? What so bad did he do? The Chazal says, he says to the Avshalom, to the David HaMelech's son, go kill your father, have relationship with his wife, that's not their mother's, and that's the way you're going to be a king. but he plowed it. Once he have a relationship with a David HaMelech wife, he will go to Sanhedrin, Achitophel. He will tell the Sanhedrin he's not allowed to do that, and they're going to kill him by stoning him at Avshalom. So basically, he plowed it to take the David HaMelech kingship by his son, and afterwards he's going to kill his son, and he's going to be the king. Okay? מוציא את שהתקנה במלכות דוד, נסע לומר, אני אמלוך, כמו שנאמר, and he says, I want to be the king. That's the way he basically plowed it, and he basically thought about it. וסופו, like he says, מסכת סנהדרין 101, דבר נאמר לא בא, לא יחצה ימיהם. The Chazal says, whoever plowing for another person, they, דואג ואחיתופל, מחלוקת גמרא, they only lived 33, 34 years. That's it. Imagine doing these type of stuff in age 33. And they were part of the Sanhedrin, by the way. Okay? וחנק עצמו. He could not handle that David HaMelech was still king. He went and he killed himself. Okay? אחיתופל. וכן בלעם וגחזי ואבשלום ועדניהו ועוזיהו וחמן. Bil'am did the same thing, had a jealousy. Gehazi had a teacher, Elisha. He used to close the door when the people used to want to come learn. Okay? Avshalom went against his father, which is David HaMelech's son. V'Adanyahu, also David HaMelech's son, also went against him. V'Uziyahu v'Haman, Haman the same thing, Haman HaRasha. Shinatnu enehem b'ma she'eino ra'ui lahem. They will put their eyes whatever does not belong to them. Ma bikesh lo natan lehem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not give it to them. Ma b'yadam natnu mehem. Okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not give it to them. But whatever they had also was taken away from them. So that means if a person puts his eyes on something, not only he's going to lose whatever he's going to put his eye on, whatever he's going to have on his possession, that's also going to be loose. V'chen ha'isha sota natna enehem b'ish acher. Same thing is sota. So which just means a husband says in front of two witnesses, please do not get together with this man. And she goes and she admits it that she did a sin. She does not drink the water of the sotah. She's gonna be permissible not to her husband, not to the person that she cheated with. What?
Because he put his eye on her.
And she's same thing. ואסור לבועל ואסורה לבעל ובועל. מה ביקש לא נותן לה, מה שבידה נוטלים ממנה. Whatever she have in her, whatever she asks, they're not going to give it to her. Whatever is on her hand, they will take it away from her. This is the story that when I read, that made me, I saw a lot of stories, but this is one of the things that it made me amazed. רבנו חידה בהיות במחנה קודשו בעיר לא יורנה. דבי ספרים וחיבוריו. מורנו חידה was Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai. He was the student, one of the disciples of Or HaChaim HaKadosh, Rabbi Chaim ben Atar. Okay? Rabbi Chaim ben Atar, they say he was the Mashiach and Baal Shem Tov. If they would have met together, the Mashiach would come right away. So he got stuck in Izmir, Turkey. Baal Shem Tov, he did not meet with the Or HaChaim HaKadosh because it was not time to to bring a Mashiach yet. So Maran Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai, he wrote about 84 books. And Rovo Poskim Sfaradim would take his books and make to the halacha. He's actually a halachic authority. Bo elav adam chashuv echad yiras shamayim. To Chida came in one person that is fear of Hashem, which is religious person. Who Kohen? He's Kohen. Bakol na lishto leomar ki hi midyachet em ish echad nistarai mo kama pamim. He says, this young gentleman, Kohen, he comes to the Chida and he says, my wife was getting together with some man in a room. Okay? Rabbi said, to hear my advice. Velech al bet din v'garsha ota. He says, go to bet din and what? Divorce her. Chida says, excuse me, how do you make this determination just because somebody was in a hidden room and his wife got hit with another man? He says, what are you talking about? He says, listen to my advice, go divorce her. He says, go to bet din, divorce her. דיינים שבית דין לא אהבו לגרשה ואמרה כי אין לעשות משפט הרוח הקודש. The Dayanim said, the judges, we're not giving judgment according to your spiritual vision. אלא על פי שני עדים יקום דבר. The Torah says, according to the two witnesses, you need to make the judgment. ועלינו עליו את כל העדה, שאמר רבנו דברי ריבות האלה. So basically, Bet Din says, we don't have no witnesses, we have nothing. This everything is chas v'shalom. Chida talked about nonsense. Tav alav ruach Hashem shalak kara et isha. Chida went and he says, I want to see this woman. Please come. The woman came in where the Chida lived. Tavo elav lebeto kamo eliona, in the second floor. Shel sham haya cheder limud beit tfilato. It was where the Chida was learning and where the people were davening. Korata v'kam mikeso. When Chida saw this woman, he get up from his chair. V'alach la'aron HaKodesh. He went to the Aron, where we keep the Sefer Torah. V'ikach Sefer Torah. He took the Sefer Torah. V'ikra ba'ozna parashat sota. Ba'tameh hanigun. He took the Sefer Torah, he read it with the tunes of the Torah, parashat naso, in her ears. Rabbi, reading in a loud voice. He says, if you not did a sin with another man, and he's talking about everything, he says, she started walking. She cannot walk no more. She fell off the stairs and she died. That woman. What Chida did? He read the parasha naso. כתב פרשה נתקיים עליך כל צעקתה אשר צעקה בקור מר. She starts screaming, the lady. בו דיינים הרבה מאנשי העיר להורות מחזה נורא הזאת. Says the whole town, Dayanim, everybody came in and look at. Nivhalu me'ed vayikaru. They were so in a shocking position. What happened over here? They took her right away from the house, so the house was not going to be impure. So they took her right away because she's dead. She's going to be dead. They said, you're a holy man. Davar Hashem b'pihu. Whatever you say is that Hashem is talking, not you. Emet, and you're saying everything emet. למען יהיה זיכרון עולם ציווה נדיב לעיר לצפות ומעלות אשר מיתה עליהם בזהב להיות זיכרון מעשה רבנו הקדוש נורא. Says they made for the Maran Chida, the bed is from the gold. He says this is a holy man that able to do such a thing. Read the parashat naso, and that woman able to what? Effect right away. Li'ish mofed yesh kina sheyeh tova. Says you have a good jealousy. What's a good jealousy? Kamo she'amra v'tikna Rachel b'achota. The good jealousy is Rachel was jealous of her sister. V'amru b'midrash she'i kanta b'masei hatovim. What kind of jealousy? The jealousy of the good that Leah did, good deeds. She says if she wasn't tzaddiket, if she wasn't righteous, 4 tribes would not come from her. Oh, this is the famous Mishle. I guess we need to go over it many times. But Mishle 23:17 says, do not be jealous in your heart the people that are sinners. Again, Do not be jealous of the people that is the sinners. What does it mean? Oh, Rabbi, look, they flourish. He has a beautiful girl. Look what he does. I want to do the same thing. Many years pass by, nothing happening to him. Ali kaneh lebecha b'chatayim. Says, do not put jealousy inside your heart. Oh, how come I don't have this? He has it. He's a sinner. I wake up in the morning barely, and look what's happening to me. Ki im ba'irat Hashem kol hayom. King Solomon says to fear of Hashem all day. Ki amru chachamim Baba Batra. Chachamim, our sages, says in Masechet Baba Batra in page 21. Ki nat sofrim tarbe chokhmah. When a person is jealous of somebody learning a lot, that's where we're going to have a lot of chokhmah. But we have a problem over there too. What is the problem? I'm jealous of another chacham. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about him despicable. I'm going to knock him down. So that's what we're understanding also. We say, Kinat sofrin tarbe chokhmah. What we're doing, we're disagreeing with everybody. And we're saying, I'm the only smart one, and I'm the only wisdom one. The rest of them, you don't understand. And I had this many times. People say, you don't understand. So I'm learning all day. He's learning. You don't understand. That's a problem. That means you don't accept anybody else except for yourself. דהיינו ראה את חברו גדול ממנו דתורה מגיע בלימודו שקד דלתו תורה כי יגדל גם כאחיו. Says if a person sees a person is not using phones, it's not drinking, it's not eating in the middle of the shiur, the Chazal says that would give you a lot of courage. That's why it says you should knock on the doors of the Torah. Why it says knocks on the doors of the Torah? Today I read it in Metivta in Masechet Barachot in page 17. Ashrei, praiseworthy is that man, Lashkot al daltot Torah, which means he knocks. He says when you knock on a door, you're opening the doors. Inside the room you hear Mo Chidushei Torah. You understand more the wisdom of the Torah. So that's why כי שיגדל גם כאחיו, מכל מקום יותר שירגל עצמו ללמוד בלא קינה, אלא מחמת אהבת לימוד עצמו. Rashbaz, Magen Avot says, the best way should not be jealous of your friend. Even in learning Torah, you should learn Torah because you love Torah. Not because of the jealousy. So because we're loving, that's why we want to learn. Not because of jealousy. It says, מסופר הגאון רבי מרדכי ברוך, רבי ברוך מרדכי ליפשיץ, היה חתנו של אחד העשירי גדולים בווסקיס, היה יושב בבית המדרש, צועק בתורה בהתמדה גדולה. רב ברוך מרדכי ליפשיץ, he had a father-in-law that is rich. When he's rich, he's able to learn Torah. And who else was learning Torah in the same Beit HaMidrash? Rav Yitzchak Elchanan. Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan was also learning the Torah when they were young. Yoshu ba'asko b'atmada b'shkida rabba, amru chazal Baba Batra. Masechet Baba Batra, our sage says 21, kinat sofrim tarbe chokhmah. The more persons surround himself around the scholars, the more scholar he's going to be. Shnei avrechim ha'elu meto kinat sofrim hatradu b'atmadam. Says this is Rabbi Elchanan, Yitzchak Elchanan, with Rabbi Lifshitz. Two of them was learning Torah without the stop. כל אחד מהם השתדל להשכים בית המדרש קודם שיבוא. Each one of them was competition who would come first to the study hall. Right? Today's date we're opposite. How fast we're going to finish and how fast you're going to finish. In that time, what they did, we still have this in yeshiva. Okay? בערב יום כיפור ביקש רבנו ברוך מרדכי מאת חותנו שתכין לסעודה. רב מרדכי ברוך, ערב יום כיפור, which is day before Yom Kippur, and before we're going to enter, he says, prepare something for me, Motzei Yom Kippur, so I'm able to eat and go with the meal. So Yom Kippur comes in, he comes out Yom Kippur. Rabbi Baruch, what he does, he eats the meal. And he comes to the Bet HaMidrash, Motzei Yom Kippur. Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan already sitting in Bet HaMidrash. Says, how did you get here before me you got here? Says, I knew it. You told your father-in-law to prepare for you food. I did not prepare for myself food. I brought it with me and I ate it over here. That's why I'm first. We always need to look how to be in a Bet HaMidrash, which is study hall, how to be a first, and able to have Ahavat Torah. Ahava, which just means love for the Torah. When we love for the Torah, believe me, it's better than a gambling, lo alechem. It's better than a drugs. Better than any pleasures that you take. If you really would understand what the love of the Torah is, it's beyond of understanding. How we get to it. I saw something recently, 2 days ago, and it's the topic of the topic. So this guy, you know, the more older I get, the more I start pay attention to many things. So I saw this guy, I knew him many, many years. Not personal. I knew him, he did business, carpeting, right? Strong Israeli guy, strong, mindful, strong speaker, speaks. And I saw him 2 days ago. And the rabbi is asking in front of me. I just told him, put a kippah, you know, it's cold weather. Maybe kippah, I don't know where's the kippah. Puts a kippah. Rabbi is asking him, when last time did you daven? He says, I haven't done daven maybe, a year, maybe 2 years. When last time you put a tefillin? Says, I don't put tefillin. Says, why? The rabbi is asking him, are you Jewish? He's not answering. Israeli. The rabbi is asking again, are you Jewish? He's not answering. Says, Rabbi, he says, I have a lot of things in my head. He says, that's what the Jews does. The Jews, even though they have a lot of things in his head, he still works in Hashem. That's the difference between the Goy and a Jew. He says, I have a lot of problems in my head. I'm not calm. I cannot do it. He says, yeah, that's what the Goy does. But the Jew, no matter what he's going through, what kind of difficulties he's going through, he's a Jew. So same thing is over here. Whatever a person going through, whatever the mind that is going, we have to work. We have to work for Hashem, no matter what kind of condition it happens. But I see people are getting, like this individual, I think he's depressed. I don't know what's happening with his life and is going, but the way he's talking see, people could be mighty and powerful and strong personality, then all of a sudden you see is the opposite happening to them. So the second question you ask, why don't you help him? We did. We spoke, I spoke, another guy over there spoke. Speak. That's not enough. The Yetzer Hara is so strong that we need to overpower him. By overpowering, we need to bring a lot of or, which is the light to this world. Shir Ratzon, thank you for coming. Thank you for everybody sponsoring. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have Sudat, Shlomo HaMelech, and Kemach and Torah. If there's no flour, there's no Torah. We eat, we serve Hashem, we do mitzvot. Be'ezrat Hashem, Hashem give us more zechut, more merits that we're able to continue to do mitzvot. Zikui Rabim Be'ezrat Hashem. Mechen Ratzon v'namar Amen. רבי חנניה בן הקדשה אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה